To the teacher endowed, transcendent destroyer, one thus gone, foe destroyer, completely and fully awakened one, perfect in knowledge and good conduct, one gone to bliss, knower of the world, supreme guide of beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans too, the Buddha endowed, transcendent destroyer, glorious conqueror, Shakyamuni, I prostrate, make offerings and go for refuge. When, O supreme among humans, you were born on this earth, you paced 7 strides and said, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise, then I bow. With pure bodies formed supremely fine, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, supreme guide, to you I bow. With the supreme signs, face like the spotless moon, color like gold, to you I bow. You are immaculate, the 3 worlds are not incomparable, wise one, to you I bow. Great, compassionate protector, all-knowing teacher, field of merit and good qualities, vast as an ocean, to the Tathagata I bow. Through purity, freeing from attachment, through virtue, freeing from the lower realms. Unique, supreme, ultimate reality, to the Dharma that is peace I bow. Having freed themselves, showing the path to freedom too, well established in the trainings. The holy field endowed with good qualities, to the Sangha I bow. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind completely, this is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, mirage, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew, a bubble. A dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud, see conditioned things as such. Through this merit may sentient beings attain the state of all-seeing, subdue the 4 faults, and be delivered from the ocean of cyclic existence perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. This ground anointed with perfume, flowers strewn Mount Meru, 4 lands, sun and moon, imagined as a Buddha land and offered to you. May all beings enjoy this pure land. Venerable holy gurus, in the space of your truth body, from billowing clouds of your wisdom and love, let fall the rain of the profound and extensive Dharma, in whatever form is suitable for subduing sentient beings. Idam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Niryatayami. I take refuge until I have awakened in the Buddhas, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit I create by listening to the Dharma, I will attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I have awakened in the Buddhas, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit I create by listening to the Dharma, I will attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I have awakened in the Buddhas, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit I create by listening to the Dharma, I will attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings.
주기 도남라 찬주 바도 다네 겹수체 다게 지소 개베 소남기 도라 벤제 상게 두바쇼 상게 죄다 주기 소남 찬주 바도 다네 겹수체 다게 지소 개베 소남기 도라 벤제 상게 두바쇼 상게 죄다 주기 소남라 찬주 바도 다네 겹수체 다게 지소 개베 소남기 도라 벤제 상게 두바쇼
먼저 다니기 참디 제제 거래는 이슈 접된 것들을 했어.
No. So, looking into the previous year teaching, we have come to the verse 27. So from here onwards, we will start.
주디 이슈 접된디 가르샤 이슈 접된디로다 너심 주에 셈니다 세나다네 차도니 데네 송도 장주다 톱게 파트 메자오 상바르 줘봐 제샤신 딕다 되바 방어자 주좀 돈발 라가베 상게 제수 라브르자 스제제 디르도
So, reading the verse 27 and 28. 27, from this moment onwards until I attained awakening, I shall not harbor harmful thoughts, anger, avarice, or jealousy. 28, I shall cultivate pure conduct, give up wrongdoing and attachment, and with joy in the vows of discipline, train myself as the Buddha has done.
다디 드스마 용단디 먼저 최단디 베나다 대고 준비 남기 남샤 거돌이야 조 아니 셈큐리케야 당 셈디기는 줘발이야 랍수이 때야 디르바
No. So this really talks about or reveals the great scope individual practices. And for the great scope individual practices, the most important is generating this mind of awakening mind of bodhicitta. And the important thing is engaging into the pure contact of the bodhisattva.
디가네다 셈큐리케시 셈 계산에 셈계단들이야다 간들 멤버 셈계단 주버 셈기니스 제제 셈계단 도스 남바니 송르와
So generating this mind of awakening and within your mind streams, and then it is the two types of generating this bodhicitta mind. The first is aspiration bodhicitta, and the second is engaged bodhicitta.
셈기다 되네 그제 참에 말한스디나이 참말로다 간들 지금 남릴이야 규니 샤다인 손자 다 셈계단들라 남기네 준제 명화 되는군의 셈기수지다 다시 냠제군의 셈기수니 도스 주어라
No. So audience here are familiarized with the Lamrim stages to the path of enlightenment, and for that, in order to engage into the bodhisattva contact and training, there is these two methods: the methods of 7-point cause and effect, and the second one is equalizing and exchange self and other.
디디가네다 셴바두즈 좀 먹어장아서 숍스 조사르와 제 면심기 오당 아니 다 면심기 칭이다 되지 디젤텔라 아니 죽돔 안 죽sem제 죽sem은 건도 송알라 냐는 죽돔 낸 거야지 봐 되게 상황은 좋다 그센다니 숍스 조사르라 아 망치 다 간다 남리싱이 주간에 상마기 예샤체 봐
So, in terms of the aspiration bodhicitta, what is the nature of that aspiration bodhicitta? What are the characteristics of the aspiration bodhicitta? And then after that is the engage engage bodhicitta. But in order to have this engaged bodhicitta, you need to take the precept, the engage bodhicitta, the precept. So all these, since you all are familiar with Lamrim, stages to the path of enlightenment, and these we have covered in the last year.
지리가는 단 주버심기 그 값소 아니 주심기 또 주버냠랭기 제외기 심구를 수도 간에 주버들다 전주심배 주버 남기다 벌지 죽디르바
So, in order to fully engage into the bodhicitta, the bodhisattva conduct, the pure kind of behavior of the bodhisattvas, conduct is important. And in order to engage into the bodhisattva conduct, then we engage into the six perfections.
다 주버 손이를 라버데 주 다지 가서 그래 좀 대지 주베나 손이 주버 라베데 조다 손이를 라베도 소남부 조다 이식이 조 라베데
Yes. So when we talk about engaging into the sixth perfection, the most important thing is accumulation. And so what are we gathering here is accumulating the virtue of accumulating the merit and accumulating the wisdom aspect. So these two, the skillful method and the wisdom, it's subsumed under that. All these six perfections are subsumed under accumulation of merit and accumulation of wisdom aspect.
다 내내 바티스 기르타나 안에 남게다 주버 벌진 툭
So then, as we extend these the two virtues of merit and wisdom, then the extension of that is all the six perfections.
다 벌진 툭이 있습니다. 전에 당부터마 수dim기 벌진기 심다semne 수dim 벌진기 냠내단 자외 권의 순구도와 뒤간다 수dim기 벌진데라 수dim 벌진데라다 심제 된지기 수dim 개와 추득이 수dim 제제 아니 도시제다 수dim 남바숨 예제 된배 수dim 시제 남바숨으로
So then falls the first, of course, from the sixth perfection. Right now, we are going under the perfection of morality. And within the morality, there are three different kinds of morality. The first one is restraining from negative actions. Second is gathering or accumulation of virtuous actions. And the third one is accumulating in working for the welfare of other sentient beings.
다 당분 예제 된배 수dim 된배 온도 전에다 느심 주의심니다 세르나 단에 차도니 되는 손들 장주다 도쿄 버도 미자오지 상버를 줘봐 제자시 디단되바 방월자 수dim 돈바 라가베 상기 제손 라버차스 제제다 지지디 용도 우리 땡기지 도살베
No. The Niju Dumbadikala Kokasirutan. So the verse 27 and 28 falls under this category of the first type of perfection of morality, which is restraining from negative actions. So the 27 and 28 I read is restraining from negative actions. From this moment onwards, until I attain awakening, I shall not harbor harmful thoughts, anger, avarice, or jealousy. I shall cultivate pure conduct, give up wrongdoing and attachment, and with joy in the vow of discipline, train myself as the Buddha has done.
되지 봐. 단 저다 느낌 좋았을 때 간다 남기네 다랑 아주 예주든 비추좀 또 룡아기 예주되게 때문에 다 셴려야 메뉴 받아 봐. 아니 다 셴기 제일 메뉴 받아 셴기 류를 메뉴 받아 소바다 도시제 남기다 예주든 비추좀 저다 된데 인도산에 다디 도시제 디나 도스 된데도 봐.
No. So, going a little bit further detail into the 27th words, where it indicates about not to harbor any kind of harmful thoughts, anger, avarice. This indicates that whatever contact, especially the focus of your contact in relation to your physical body and the speech, should never harm other beings. So that's a very clear indication, not harming other beings in terms of other beings' object, as well as other beings' physical body, not to harm them.
다 다니 뉴르베 추기니 장주 토벌 미조시 심지 지기 규인이 치매 무대 내버 차스 제제 송야디 다조 가서래 장주가 심 규르기 되네 다 주반 냠랭기 자와라야 주 장주가 심 규르기니 다조 가져서는 조장 튼튼이네 조장다 뉴 톱고에 선사 뒤 뉴도 톱을 제발라 다조 준주기 냠랭 주고에 선다 다 준주기 냠랭 주게 되체
Verse number 29 reads, I shall take no delight in attaining awakening by a quick means for myself alone, but I shall remain until the end of the future, if it be a cause for helping one limited being. This verse really reflects about the bodhisattva conduct, that the bodhisattva has generated this powerful bodhicitta mind within the bodhisattva, and that conduct is very, very steadfast. The individual bodhisattva have a very, very clear goal. Not only that, he don't want to attain that goal just for himself or herself. And there is a dedication which is very, very steadfast. And not only that, the bodhisattva conducts himself the engaging of the joyous perseverance. So we can take the joyous perseverance, which is the perfection of the perseverance, can also tie to this very verse.
다디 가서라 나 단인유의 추기는 전주 토벌 미로시 심지 지기 규인이 치매 타야 내버 쇼스 이 나가서 추좀 숨이 많이 해주고 추좀다 아니 겨와치도 유주된다 심지 된식 추좀시 다 된데 심지 된식이 추좀 된 게 들어와 심지 된식 추좀 다 심지 된체단데라 제자다 가서래 심기는 심지기 된지도가나다 심지 탐지기 된지기 있어 지도가나다 지다 심지 지다 심지 지라도 수제 예와 제제로와 당에 된데기 심지 지라도 수 예와 맞으듯이 심지 탐지리야다 간들의 일이 매고 보내 당에게 제티치기 있어 다다 심지 지기 규인이 치매 타야모다 심지 지견 류마다 뭐 제제 심지 탐지기 된지기 있어 다 그래서
And if we go deeper into this verse, specifically the line that says that I shall remain until the end of the future if it be a cause for helping one limited being. So this one limited being has a profound meaning into it. Is once one has generated this bodhicitta mind within one's mind stream, it wants to benefit all sentient beings. So all sentient beings in general, and also there is a specificity, not even one single one you will leave out. So this particular verse falls under the category of the three moralities, the third morality, which is working for the welfare for all sentient beings. So this ties to working for the welfare of all sentient beings. All sentient beings, whether near or far, you have this mind of benefiting all sentient beings. So that's the indication of the verse 29.
딱 앉아서 단다디 심지 지기 규인이 치매 모터는 내버 자세도 근데 딱 앉아 전주 심 마게 공동에래야 인지 첨부디게 되거나 미국 심지 탐전라 명네 넘버 동에 전두기 넘버 전시 구구요 봐 뒤인디가 나다 뒤나네 조 미국 심지 탐전 믹스에 뒤다 완전 남주에다 냠내 지도당 아니 닝질이야 다 토섬 고숨 지도산에 다디 고대니야다 디톨이야다 간도 수수 삼다야디 계정 부차되기도 와.
Yes. So in order for us to have this affirmation and conviction within our mind, especially the last two lines, but I shall remain until the end of the future if it be a cause for helping one limited being. And to have this kind of vigorous, steadfast mind, prior to that, you need to have great compassion. So great compassion becomes a prerequisite and it's fundamental. Geshe says the word fundamental is very important because without this great compassion, that even one being, limited being, that kind of conviction won't arise in your mind. So this generating this great compassion is so fundamental. And in order to do that, so you focus, there are two elements within this great compassion. So the focus is for the well-being of all sentient beings. And then what do you want? You want to remove their suffering. So these are two elements within this great compassion. And of course, you do extensive hearing, extensive contemplation, extensive meditation, and reflect deeply into this in order for oneself to generate this great compassion.
bodhicitta dinaliya simje jiks je de goye de dan ganzu de yingji chimbu nyamne chebe kapsos ta zo migba da namba de geshe shu zigi sonza migba simje tamje la mingni ani namba dunge tendu ge zewa chenji yingji chimbu sinde je janju ge simda gyule geje ge zawa sene mindu tab sene mindu ngoge gyu sene mindu geshe shu de da yingji chimbu de cha de ge ba.
The words one limited being, in order to have that kind of vigilance or steadfastness, it is very imperative to have this great compassion. So great compassion focus on sentient beings. And how do you focus? How does the sentient being appears? They appears in a way of suffering nature, and you want to remove their suffering nature. So that's very, very important. And this is fundamental because this is the root. The great compassion is the root in order for you to have this bodhicitta mind within yourself. It is the most primary method, the great compassion, and then also it is the main cause. So there are three things under the great compassion. It is the root to generate bodhicitta. It is the main method to generate bodhicitta. And the great compassion is the main cause to bring about this bodhicitta mind.
미베 가서 심제 탐제 세대 가서 다 간다 심제 탐제다 아니 심제 지다 심제 지라스도 제제 녀리야 개발지지고도.
So when we do this focus on sentient beings, focus on sentient beings as general, the whole sentient beings, it becomes universal. And then cheta means you be specific to certain sentient beings. So again, we have to dissect that further.
제주 이거는다 심제 탐제 세대 가는 건지다 탐제 매버제 예와지도 전에 당연히 심제 미릭 상말이야 예 디지투서데 얘네 심제 돈으로 써봐다 딘주체도 아니 얘기다 제투사 마르스 제제야 예와직 셈나로는 두스 고셔지 태인고요.
So when we look into this, focus on all sentient beings, then different kinds of variation, how we can focus on sentient beings' benefit, it varies. Let's take an example that, I can focus on the well-being of sentient beings, particularly all human beings, but I can benefit animal beings, but I can benefit all the human beings. So again, within your mind, that kind of division could happen.
미나네게 양 예와지제 수수 기급 직바다 수수 미릭 직배 체동에 디치투데 신달량에 제가게면도 신달 체동에 치고야 메스 양도스 예와직리고도.
Another division of possibility that arises in the mind, that I focus on all human beings, but within the domain of the human beings, the focus is my that that becomes very, very segregated. And then you cannot benefit others, but only my countrymen. So that kind of possibility happens within your mind.
다 수수 미리당 계급 직배 나로네 야 예와 제제 다 수수의 능미당 빙자 랑기 체도 지금 마도 지기 신당아 대화 그 적문도 신당에 지도서 말했어요. 도스 제제야 셈마도스 가스보르다 캡충하다야 부수도로 당제야 도스 제제 제와 대단지게 여러봐.
Again, we can dissect that further by saying that the possibility of benefiting my countrymen is one thing, but I can't do all. So you again narrow it down. I can benefit only my family members and relatives. So that at that point, your mind becomes very narrow and not flexible, and it's sort of stagnant. I think the word stagnant is the right one, stagnant and narrow.
디 인디가네 당 안주 단도 통주니 중고 스페 송바이나 안주다 도 통고도 계급 수수 나로리아 수수 능미당 수수인이 지고 삼로 당제 로디니기 계급당 공시 망고 여바디 나로리아 아니 corruption 디 망알리디도 하다.
Let's look closely into reality of the world as such that the country as such, which really focus only on the country's welfare only, and then in their own dynamics of their own family members and the relatives and all. Under such circumstances, we see the habit of lot of corruption. Yeah.
다데네 수수의 계급다 미리치고 삼당제 교딩이 디낭로리아 아니 다단당가 좀 통하더래 먹주도 망할래도.
And then people who are concentrated only about their nationality, their countrymen, and focus only on their national welfare, then we see that the more focus on that, then the war becomes apparent. War becomes apparent.
No. 제산디 인디자네 다 딘데기 로디 장버 제발라 가서르 디 인디가네 딘데기 다 심제 탐제리아 캬베기 다 간다 제와 당 심제 탐제 대화를 되고 선배 간다 장주 심게기 탐람들이야 니 당부 단기 주변한 시리 니지들 니지 친구기 로디 장과야체 니지 친구로 장외 온도래야 니리야 택바 딱 간다 기부 중고다 징기 선배 커도들이야 니종기 로디 니리야 조국이 봐서.
No. So with this understanding, to have this universal compassion for all sentient beings, to have this loving kindness, and to generate this bodhicitta mind that I want to bring sentient beings, all sentient beings, to the highest state of enlightenment. And in order to generate that, as we have spoken a little earlier, that's the most fundamental prerequisite is this great compassion. Now we have to also delve further down that how this great compassion comes about, and this great compassion comes about with a causal factor, and that causal factor is something common in the small scope individual and the middle scope individual in particular, because the great compassion to arise, we need renunciation.
제산디 인디가네 가장 공동하서 이마 당변이 뭐 가면 처분한 시제 로원의 비다고지다 야고지 장원 제거당 대랑다 시행 탐제를 펜바당 지기체도 제고했음서 전배이나 다지단 람링당 준주 단다디 람르기 중든주 나라 또 로망고지 인연에 되게 상물로 때는 바바디 인디자네 당원에 가서 딜이야 제수이랑다 가와 공쳐야 시도와.
As we have stated very clearly on the first day of teaching, in order to attain this pure mind within yourself, that pure and a stable mind within yourself, this bodhicitta mind, which benefits oneself and other sentient beings. These are very clearly stated in the classical texts like Lamrim, Stages to the Path of Enlightenment, and the Guide to Bodhisattva's Way of Life, Bodhicharya Avatara. And so we are very fortunate that we have the available resources to refer to these classical texts. And I deeply rejoice that we have these classical texts as our reference point.
이거네. 디제다 된데디 단 심제기 된 체단데 체단 심제려야 민요군의 된 체단당 근데네 다 체메 삼기 미개베 신단 넘버를 정하자 민의 숭대 제바다 조주다도 넘버 네 세야디 다 심제기 된 체단데 땡도 심제 된식 수준데
And then, so what is most important is not to harm any sentient beings. That's the fundamental take here. And now we go to the verse 30. I shall purify limitless, inconceivable lands and remain in the 10 directions for all those who call my name. This particular verse entails the second morality, the morality of gathering or accumulating of virtue. This verse indicates.
다제다 지코라나리아 심제다 체메바 삼기 미캬바다 신 넘버 정하다 명내 손데 쇼군도 넘버 네긴 시디가네 다 베르지 손나 가서 디자브레 다 심제리아 단단해시 초리 메바다 예와 메베토네 심제리아 제와체 아니 디드도 심제 탐제 대화로 꾸베기 잘래나 된다 인다 간다 잠니 시들 꾸베 잘래나 와다 디체베이나 아니 된데 잘래나 얘기 기부 담바디기 명디 메 초간데질이네 참매기 아니 디 명디 퇴바다 아니 젬바다 레바잠게 그냥 심리야다 간들시 가와다 시디치 준투요르와 베네 차시네다 가란즈는 차시네 베네 겨울음주다브레 다원내신 점네 시들을 꾸니다 베네 마트마 간디치다 마다 테레리스다 딘지 민투바 잠게 가란즈 셈나로리아 아니 가와당 아니 지수이라다 딘데 끼기도 아치산 디기도 전에 다 딘데게 레레야 죽지 아니 심제기 되는 지긴 어디 숨고도 와
So the verse number 30th, we see these catching term like inconceivable, remain in the 10 directions, limitless. So these are indicated to the particular bodhisattva who are engaging into accumulating this, the accumulation of virtue or of the morality. So the practitioner will have no discrimination whether they are near or far sentient beings. There is a total equanimity of looking at all sentient beings with a tremendous amount of loving kindness. And this particular practitioner, bodhisattva, always work for the world peace. And all his activities ties to the world peace, and wherever direction he goes, it is for the benefit of all sentient beings. So whether whether you encounter with that individual by hearing, by thinking about that individual, and being in contact with that individual, it brings tremendous joy to the other individual, other sentient beings. So who is that kind of individual? We can say that in our world today, it is His Holiness the Dalai Lama. He is the representation of this verse, that he is doing that for the benefit of all sentient beings. And then classical examples like Mahatma Gandhi, Mother Teresa, and because they bring tremendous joy to the human being, and we rejoice in their tremendous kind activities.
되네 심주 소지 받아요다 아니네 다게 류다 가게래 탐제도네 다버죠 이기래 그냥 다버데 미겔레 남 미자워스리거나 다 도르드나 덴데 제주 심베 냠네 진이 되기 땅 얘기 류다 아니 나당 간당에 룽아 유숨기 다 간다 자주스님들 룽아 유숨가 땅 가다리스 단에송데 아니 상게 마도 봐도 아니 심지 코네 치도 류 땅기 코네 치도 땅에 주기 인스제제 다디스 가르소래 주변 냠랭게 제외 심당당 아니 심기당당 류당당 때 된제도
Then we go to the verse number 31. I shall purify all my physical and my verbal forms of activity. My mental activities too I shall purify and do nothing that is non-virtuous. So this verse clearly talks about how we conduct bodhisattva, conduct our three gates or three doors of body, speech, and mind, and how we engage. And is very firm affirmation here from now onwards until I'm enlightened. So that time frame is imperative to note here. From now on, all my body, speech, and mind is to benefit others. So the selfishness is let go on. Your only aim is to benefit other sentient beings and to generate this bodhicitta awakening mind and letting go of your own motives. So that's a clear that is a clear indication here.
그래도 다 되네 디체데라 디체 디체라다 랑기 룽아 심네 남다규 주베 심기 당이 돔네베 주좀 라바숨라 렉랍나 주좀 남바숨라 체 구치르교 대외 남다 조장주 심베 돔베 돔다니 베브르 제베 조장주 손이 용수 조버리 교르스
Then we come under the 32 verse, which says, when those observing the vow of the active intention, having trained well in the three forms of discipline, their respect for these three forms of discipline grows, which causes purity of body, speech, and mind. 33. Therefore, through effort in the vow made by bodhisattvas for pure, full awakening, the collection for full awakening will be thoroughly accomplished.
저 디가도데 다 심기 안전주 심베 쳬발랍다 저 상계 심제 탐제기 되 양답을 제발라 아니 상계기 공부 톱구구 손자 다 상계기 공부 토야 제바들이야 람 라버숨이야 라베 라버숨이야 랍구구 손자 단 라베 라버 추짐기 라바다 라베 라버 띵예징게 라바다 라베 라버 셰르기 라버 숨나 조뒤 뒤에 당보다 라베 라바 추짐리야 라바들이다 단디디제 장계류당아 심네 윤남다데 주베심기 당이 domlaneebe tsurim labasumla leklabki inshe. Ta wana kandis labki inshe na rangi inshe lunga simni nambratabi kyu gangla labar chashe na dini jube simgi tangidu dombala nebe shirisung gondo shebe tsurimgi labarimbuche namba sumla lebar labna di genche ne tsurimgi labasumla ane mebada kuba chechiri kyushi ane dee gyurbe namda zobe chanjudu shubes sembe dombe dombade labja dalane bebre chaji de jebe zobe chanju ki zi chone yonsu zobre gyuroshe dombe dombashe dombanga jinyi ju ngamani jukdomda chimani ani di labja tsujimla jawos she wadi songsha.
Awesome. So as the focus is that generating this mind of awakening, mind of bodhicitta, and conducting in sixth perfection, and you are doing this all for you to attain swiftly the Buddhahood. So in order to benefit others in the most extensive way, then one needs to reach to the Buddhahood. And that's the significance here is indicating. And in order to attain the highest state of enlightenment, then one has to engage into three higher trainings of training in morality, the training in concentration, and the training in wisdom. And these three trainings are fundamental for a swift attainment of Buddhahood. So the verse 32, 33 is about this training of the morality, specifically to that. Now, in order to, how do we develop this training of morality is that that the individual needs to have a fervent aspiration, and your devotion and the respect to attain this enlightenment has to be steadfast. You need to collect vast merit and wisdom, and then you have to purely abide in the morality of your own precepts. So these falls under the training of morality.
다 딘데 초니 용수 조고 디근 초니 용수 조바디다 랍체와지다 초니 용수 조베 탑리야다 원셰로 소베 아니 톱디게디 구그레스 다 원셰로 소베 톱디게디 구구이나 아니 디게 용어를 집에기 규규 조드 가르세나 아니 따단데 시내다 아니 당무시단 시내디게 드레스 되거나 다 라바 띵엔징기 라바디 딜레고다 다 띵엔징기 라바디 아니 템퍼처 발라 다 소남 이시 랑신기 촌이 용순 조바이 균이 상계 탐제다 무시게 바니도시 디더러 답쇼 마게베 자네 칼라 푸르미네 디시 용시 톱제베 심제 된제 뇌마이 원시 덴베 년생기 소남다네 강인데 원시 다단 제교라 개와캬야 유마이 묘돈 조베 장주 초 용수 조벌 되교바 디네 베제 원시다 주벌 교계 레르 민스 제제 지제 숨주 습된 바도 도스트셔도 다조 띵엔징 라바디.
So in order to vastly collect the collection of merit and the wisdom, to have this collection of the merit and wisdom in a vast way, and not only vast, but the stable way, then the importance here is one needs to have to attain various power. Here the power is in relation to clairvoyance, and how does you attain this clairvoyance is through the calm abiding meditation is a causal factor in order to attain this clairvoyance. So this really talks about the second training, which is training on concentration, and reads from verse number 34 till 37 is specifically to the training of concentration. I will read now. 34, all Buddhas say the cause for the completion of the collections, whose nature is merit and exalted wisdom, is the development of insight. 35, just as a bird with undeveloped wings cannot fly in the sky, those without the power of insight cannot work for the good of living beings. 36, the merit gained in a single day by one who possesses insight cannot be gained even in 100 lifetimes by one without such insight. 37, those who want swiftly to complete the collections for full awakening will accomplish insight through effort, not through laziness.
다자자 원시 넘버 2 디게 아니 총이 뉴스 조단데 컨테스트 레슬라나 단데 디나르도와 자산 디인디거네 당 원시 제정원시 주버 제발라 레르기는 줍두고 말했어. 다 지도가니 저에 돕기고 그랬어. 다 간데스 원시에서는 다저 심지에게 된 제니 아니 소남기 초다 이식이 소남기 초도 순조국이 손사 다 원시 줄을 때는 간데스는 다 셴두 원시 줄을 때는 셴두 지들 주베 추네 다 주주기 원시 주벌라 때는 뒤져 가는 요바 아니 델리아 다 간다 뒤져 가는 요바 델리아 수수 교제 아니 델리아 심적 된 제토 그래서 당부 주주기 원시 때
No. So now we go on this training of the concentration, and this training of the concentration, or one desire to have these six kind of various clairvoyances, and all these clairvoyances cannot happen if you are lazy. So it needs a powerful, steadfast resolve within oneself to in a meditative concentration. And this meditative concentration, you are steadfastly gaining the momentum of that, and the primary thing is focusing in collection of accumulating merit and wisdom in benefiting all sentient beings. And how can we benefit these sentient beings? And let's move on to the clairvoyance as such. And the first specific clairvoyance is that you can, through miraculous power of a clairvoyance, you can directly see the individual or a group that you can benefit. You can miraculously appear before them and benefit directly whatever needs to be benefited. No.
다 되네 셰심시베 원심 지그래도 셰심시베 원시기니 안 심제 수수 감다 매바다 디 되바다 참배가 아니 된시 두 그랬어.
And the second clairvoyance is able to read others' mind, which is most important here is reading mind is one thing, but more important is the inclination and the disposition of the other person, and accordingly you can benefit.
다 주주들은 남기디 삼되고 다 간다 주주경원시 시제 띵인세 콜란 템베 주주경원시 다 두고여나 매네 간다다 제일 템베 주주 소리들이 연구에 sonsa 다 제일 단단하란서 단대 점내 디나를 봐 다단다 제가 주주 소리들 다 배는 남주이네 다 하나씩 갈소제 주제기리디 다 된사 갈소제 단다 AI다 아니 되게 망고시도 왔다 되게 참말로 주주 디나리아 다 제가 주주라고 해도
No. So Isla says that the earlier miraculous clairvoyance of benefiting sentient beings, of course, that's purely through the training of concentration. Whether one attains that concentration is one thing, but if we practically look in our modern world right now, we can see the substance, all the matter or substances that can bring about a certain benefit to the sentient beings in terms of the technology and in terms of the gadgets like aeroplane, which is really benefiting sentient beings. And now, in the recent years, the complexity of the technology that is available before us and the artificial intelligence, AI, they all are benefiting sentient being. AI, but Geshe, I just want to be very sure that he says this in relation to a miraculous power, not to concentration, but in relation to matter or substance. Substance.
주주들이야 다 제가 주주 스티자고 해도 다 주주들 단대대 띵엔스기 주주 제가 주주 아니 레그 주주지보다 레그 주주들 남기다 하단 하마일에 소바단 된줄이다 근데 주주여디 다 된제제 삼사 챙기도스 가나 가다 주주기 세가지 땡으로 와서 돼.
Yeah, because when we say the miraculous power, Geshe says he is really going dissecting further what kind of miraculous power. Of course, one miraculous power that can be gained through the training of concentration. That is one thing. And the second is miraculous power that can be gained by relying on a substance like technologies. And these are second, And the third is through karma, miraculous miraculous power that comes through karma, like deities who can manifest different and nagas. They also have this miraculous power.
Substances, though, they usually mean like some kind of thing you put on your eye or something like that. They don't mean airplanes.
No, here Geshe is furthering down that substance. He's saying anything that is tangible, just like because collection of technology is bring together by all the atoms and cells, all these. So that's it's there. So there is technically like a substance, Yeah, maybe Tamjula, can you look up substance, right? Yeah.
Substance in the 주주
Mare substance zere.
제 안에
Also be miraculous.
Ani vitamin side zuige and zere was. Yes.
그래서 아주 남기 류 초벌 제발라 제 라고 땡으로 와. 그러면 되지 제 주를 주 뒤제 딱코 줄제 간다 뉴로실 써요 봐.
Yeah.
간다 뉴로 써야지 기시식으로 아주.
No. Because miraculous means that brings a power. The word connotation by miraculous means that brings power, in whatever respect. Now, when we want to sustain our physical body, right now we are relying on a grosser kind of substance, which is all the nutrition and the food and all this. Now, vitamins are much more subtler because it's a compact. All the minerals and all are packed together, and when you consume that, what is the causal factor for taking this? It's affecting our health, in a swifter way to gaining optimal health. So again, a vitamin could be a miraculous substance.
안디치레 니베들이야 베나 아니라 킹기레 아줄라 리낭로리아 시네군도 그는 디우줄렌스야지 고뉴메스 디우줄렌 봤어
알레오 디우출렌 그때 가리교 때다다 줄렌 들레레 taking this, and I think it's put as essence fields. Ra the tamjure the essence fields tidwe. 디우출렌.
근데
It's during
디우줄렌 아주 검증받은 속에 띵엔생기 또기 디우줄렌 치고
so Geshe says to Venerable, when you look into the Lamrim text, specifically on the karma biting chapter, and certain great yogis, they don't rely on the grosser kind of food, but on the essence pills, diuchile. So those are miraculous substance.
그래 갈라마라 디 디우줄렌디 가르치는 치고래 검증받은 소 카돌리아다 간다르 셀라다 안티 마라베나 안티 디우줄렌다 디우줄렌디 띵엔식이 또기 줄렌 두고를 마도 지금 제가 두고면다 onda 또기면다 찍고 차서
No. So this the term is called divichulen, and that can be ascertained, or that can be done by that yogi who is doing this meditative concentration. Through his meditative concentration, he develops this. And why the reason is they're doing is because they don't have access to grosser food. But they have to sustain their physical body. So they do it through their own meditative concentration, and then these becomes an essence pills. Essence pills gyotwa. Essence, it's it's I think that the correct term is essence field. Essence pills. So again, Geshe says that essence pill is to sustain that yogi, sustain that yogi in his practice. So it's just like, for him, it was like a vitamin.
그 간다 얘기한테 잡으러
So it's something very similar like that.
다 다가나 시기 변나다 변나 폰된서 다가나 시르와 디네다 유망부질 땅도 변에 폰된서 다 나외니 해서 디다 제그 주도 잡도 시 거원이도 그렇게 갑진이 지금
No. And also the technology of cell phones, we are able to communicate to a far distance. So it's through the Geshe says miraculous substance.
다 이네
아니, 뒤에서.
매매 다 이네 다가를 봤어 디 요리데 디게디 상말로야 배주 야고치 땅다 두부 땅세디 다 구누는 라리도 왔어 다 주줄에 다가나 시르와 배나 지가서래 파당 하마이 된수 배나 하마이 된수리야 주주 요르데 주주 디게디 배주 로봇 단디간에 곧 내백이 자와식 충분히 차로 모두 패배 자와 책임이 왔어 간다 이야 디르데 얘네 디게 상말로 간다를 팬다 마베세도 조다 굴롱이야 라리기도 왔어 다조 디르다 간다 맞지 신고해야 돼
The most important thing here is that we are talking here about technology. Now, technology, whether technology is utilized in an optimal way, it really depends on individual's intention. So the intention, whether the technology goes to a good use or a bad use, it entirely depends on the intention of the individual who is utilizing the technology. Further down, Geshe also says that that's why these miraculous power that deities have, whether that has been utilized for good or bad, depends on the deities. Something like demigods, they also have miraculous power, but they utilize in a really negative way, so it brings lot of harm. But they are a miraculous power that can be utilized in a positive way, then it'll be benefiting. So Geshe make a very strong affirm that intention is the most important key thing how we utilize the technology. So
It's a little bit jarring for us to think they want to hear me. Okay, so it's just jarring for us to think that Trump used miraculous powers in the form of bombers to fly over Iran and drop bombs and murder people. It's just, yeah. I mean, if you start putting that in the newspaper, that he has miraculous powers because he did that.
지단 더직 투지레디 고라기 투지레 저라 테크놀로지 레 디디스 직 마데시시로 더직 용구도 스지다 가진나나 뭐라 안라기 로라 차레라 디 딘데 인사 아니 아주기 트럼 기 아니 고란기 다 삼누기 kelme 그게 때때 주류도 치네 아니 딘조 bomda dende Iran la shu mi mangu mise trojo chi ta chi shiwji chiran dinso ani khandires
디 아주 주주 계제 시고 얼마도 지금 주주이나 타지도 약과 임비 계제 시기 매 봤어. 디 시고 말아. 주주이나 약과 임비 계획 말아. 주주래 약하다 또 니가 또. 디나시 단 제기 누발에 약하다 또 니가 열봐.
It is important to focus here that when we talk about this miraculous power, we are talking about miraculous power as such. We are not indicating about, how it is functioning in terms of positive and negative. Same way with the substances. what is the potential of these substances there, so that's what Geshe says.
대지기로와 되는 입에들라 단단한 신제 변는 밤수야기 제대와되기 로시비스고 말해. 로.
Geshe is asking a clear question that the development or invention of bombs, the bomb as such, the substances made of bomb, those same substances can also be are making electricity also, right? He's just
와.
yes.
디스비그르스기도. 제가 디 인도 전에 녀다 디스고에 가르스나 전주 선배기 단다 초인 조보다 심지를 펜버주베치도 다 주주디 다 자기인지 자기요. 그래서 이제 레디 디르바.
So Geshe says that we have to come to the context here that for the bodhisattva to generate this bodhicitta mind, one needs to collect or gather the vast merit and the wisdom. And in order to benefit other sentient beings, one gains this miraculous power to benefit others. And so we have to stay to the context why this miraculous power is attained by the bodhisattvas.
제가 디지제 되는 입에들다 다들 주주기 남샤디 용과에 가르스나 주주기 남샤디 가르를 때는 용하르스나 아니 무시다 신을 때는 용하르스도 전에 다 간다로 디제들이 양아주 다 간다로 퍼진게 나네 아니 디 가서라 시럽을 라바다 되네 아니 가르디 간데 띵인지기 라바 어때 디간을 조국이도 간데 최단 두스마 용되기도 와
So how this miraculous power came into context here for Bodhisattva is that these miraculous powers are gained by the Bodhisattva who have attained calm abiding and the clairvoyance, and having those as a causal factor, then one gains those miraculous power. And that is purely, the training of the concentration, and then the next one will be training on the wisdom.
무슨 말이야? 이제 아니 되네다 지금부터 셰심 셰바세야 되라 셰심 셰바세야 되다 신기 감다 매발을 때에다 심지기 되는 책으로 써야 되라 신기 감다 매발을 때는 마지비나 제가 아니 된다 제비네 된다 그것이 팬토같이 연구 말했지 딱 간다라 디 셰심시 병원 시기에 딱 간다라 데려도 좀 데시네면도 라제시네면도 딱 간다 디 딘데스 제제 디 된주에 연구를 해서 어디 쓴 거야?
So, then the next miraculous power is that Bodhisattva is able to read others' mind. Here it indicates about mind of other is really about knowing the mental disposition of others. And that is significant because if you don't know the mental disposition of others, we want to benefit others. And when we benefit others, it doesn't become as strong and as far-reaching to other. So knowing the mental disposition is very beneficial for the Bodhisattva in accumulating the merit, because you know their disposition, and accordingly you can significantly benefit them in a far-reaching way.
되네 디니버들라 하이 에는 나외용을 시세시 하이 나외용을 시되기 두저스스 기리담인다 쉐베고네다 된지그래서 어디르죠 제가 디디고네다 기리담다 셔야디 다든지 제가 숑그 나로리아 당연 디자이너 마트도 된다 다단당아서 디셰브나 시제 가서르다 기리담한도 거네 심지 된지에 연구를 봐.
No. And then the next clairvoyance is through the power of the deity, now miraculous power, the miraculous power of the deity, knowing different kinds of diversity of languages. So the language here again is as a fundamental because there are so many followers and different kinds of languages are utilized. So here again, this miraculous power is in relation to benefiting others of understanding their distinctive languages.
아니 되네 원년 진짜게 뭐시스 원년 진짜게 뭐시 되네 개왕아만 되면 뭐시
Yes. And then comes the miraculous power of knowing the previous lives. So that's the next miraculous.
되네 라이 미기 뭐시스 타타니 디어데 이네 된다 이니 데 개와치만 되면 뭐시스
In the next,
개와치만 댄스네미도 다 개와치만 가와리야 기기유메 다 시바들와
so the next miraculous power is the deity's the vision eyes. But here, the vision eyes refer to the future lives where the other person will be reborn. All these are the miraculous power of knowing the future lives of other.
안 되네 사바세베 방도기 체시베 아니 시바스 사세다 방바다 또바 간다 방랑 간지스 제구유메게 단 체디 아니 심젤이야 된다 시바티 지시레도 저선디 이거는 심제 된집에 차견이야 된데 주변에 요레스 어디 숨고다
So the miraculous power, the sixth one is the miraculous power of knowing all the discourses which caters to what to adopt and what to abandon in a very, very subtle, clear way. So Geshe says that all these miracles and powers are attained, and that is solely to benefit sentient beings.
저선디 이거는 다 된제기 다 간다로 쪼디르바 타르바다 탐제긴 배 공부 톱세에 ler하고 말해 깔래하고 그래다디 뒤주 링류 가도 고르 마고다 교류 가서 고 먹어서 되게 차게 주제들이야 다 간다로 도시제제 신의 당 아니 다 항도는 소바 아니 되게 되냐면 제베나 아니 강 교육다 간다로 되게 그래서 그러다 탈바다 탐제기 몇 공부했다 교부 톱그레스 저 톱단계 람디 다 뉴르도 용해야 된다래야 아니 답만 되게 순구도와
No. So this clearly talks about our goal is liberation and enlightenment. So this section really talks about the training that brings about swift attainment of liberation and the swift attainment of enlightenment. So there's a time frame. At the same time, what are the skillful methods one needs to adopt in order to attain those levels? And for that, the training on concentration and training on penetrative insight. These are courses, conducive courses that if we gain that, then our goal will be attained swifter of the goal of the liberation and the goal of enlightenment. So that's very clearly indicated in this training on concentration and training on meditative penetrative insight.
딩에제 다 딩에제 라발로 쪼다 실라니 인디가나 다 신의 주베 다 탑간데 요르스나 다디 안조 자베 치제탄의 순주서고 있다 다 신의 주바 마이엠버 모시 중앙 미규르베 디지 신의 주베 칠 야네 양도 베버자 신의 양라 남냠베 랍도베데 곰체 강 론네 동다 다기 강 딘지 주버 미규르 디지 딘지 초리우 레스 숭베양라 레글람네 미고 강루 찍다라 이니케라 샤브르자 내주르시네 줍규르나 모셰타견 줍을 교르스셰셰 지제 시지 봐도 제상화 디르셔다 신의 줍당기 남자디
Then we read the following verse, starting from the 38 onwards, which entails how we attain this karma abiding. Reads 38. Without the attainment of serenity, insight will not occur. Therefore, make repeated effort to accomplish serenity. 39. While the conditions for serenity are incomplete, meditative stabilization will not be accomplished, even if one meditates strenuously for thousands of years. Verse 40. Thus maintaining well the condition mentioned in the collection of meditative stabilization chapter, place the mind on any one virtuous focal object. 41. When the practitioner has gained serenity, insight will also be gained.
다 신의 주단 데라 우리는 저번에 시제 양 딜레 탑라니르 봐 가서로 예방아 보연님부 뒤제 고는 신의 주단 직당 셈네베 탑구 고는 신의 주단 시제니 두스요라.
And so for the calm abiding, to develop this calm abiding, again, the text to refer is Teaches to the Path of Enlightenment, Namrim Chimo. And in that, there are 5 features that we need to avoid. And there are 9 different levels of placement of on your meditative focal object.
다디 장제제네 좀 먹으시게. 봐. 되게 정말 좋더라. 대체 신내제. 다 간다로 돌드나 자주가 semiküleke semiküleke 아니다 심제기 되 지긴 심제기 되 제발라 아니 조베 상계기 공부 톱고도 조베 상계기 공부 톱을 제발라 소니 야마제고 거네다 소니뇨 조고도 소니뇨도 조버 제발라 아니 라바숨이야 라고도 시제 된다 도스레도.
So we don't need to go in details about various karma abiding or the 9 placement. So Geshe says that what is the crux of this? The essence of the teaching here is that for the great scope individual, the generation of this bodhicitta mind is so imperative, and the focus is to remove the suffering of sentient beings. And for that, you want to attain enlightenment swiftly. And then in order to attain enlightenment swiftly, you need to have a conjoint of both the merit, accumulation of merit, and the accumulation of the wisdom. They cannot be separated. They have to be always together. And for that to enhance, we adopt the 3 higher trainings. So this is the essence today we talk in the morning session.
지리가나다 초니디 소남고 소다 이식이 소제 초니디 야 사벌라데네 아니 초니디 용수 조스나 아니 다 상계가 공부 톱어주고 그러.
No. So these 2 accumulation, the accumulation of the merit and the accumulation of the wisdom, and if these 2 collections conjoin together, and if it's fully completed to this highest optimal level, then one gains enlightenment.
디인디가네 다단다 라바 숨그나라 소니디 두단디 간데레스나 나 추짐기 라베 차네 아니 소남기 소용소가 될도 아니 띵인징기 라바다 셰럽기 라베 차네 셰럽기 라베 디나라 아니 이식이 소도 소 봐. 이 조디가네다 단데 디나 슈슨 제베나 추짐기 돈에 소남기 소 간데서 추짐데라 숨샤서 니주드메 추짐다 개와 추디 추짐다 심제 된제기 추짐 시제 추짐 숨샤서 와서.
So when we delve deeper into this accumulation of merit and accumulation of the wisdom, it ties to the 3 trainings, and how these 3 trainings ties to the 2 collections is that the training on morality is purely an accumulation of merits, vast merit, the training of the morality, and the training of the concentration and the training of the penetrative insight that entails the collection of the wisdom aspect. So again, within these three trainings, we can see the conjoinment of both the vast merit as well as collection of the wisdom. And within the morality as such, then we have first is restraining any non-virtuous action, the morality, and then the second is accumulation of virtuous action to benefit action, and the third is that by accumulating in benefiting sentient beings. So these three morality falls in accumulation of vast merit. No.
So nam so to kana churim number sum de nije dumbe churimki simjele ya neba pangin simjege neba ya dabe kon redwa ne sampaya de.
So when we look closely into the first morality, which is restraining yourself into any harmful action, so this particularly focuses that you don't want to harm any sentient beings. So you are restraining from that.
다 심제 된지기 추림되기 다 심제기 된지기스 심제기 된 간대지기스나 뭐다 뭐신 넘버 아 주변에 아니 심제기 된지기 소두슬레이 뭐도
Motion number.
뭐제다 동의신 넘버가 동의 두.
So then the morality of benefiting sentient beings, then how we benefit sentient beings, as we have earlier indicated, the different levels of power one gains through clairvoyance, 6 different types of clairvoyance we have talked about, and that clairvoyances are attained by the practitioner because it is solely to benefit other sentient beings.
되네 아니 개와 추디기 추림되기 될 때네 아니 수수기 류당하기 아니 개와 강중모데 참제 상하게 봐도 심지어 코넥 시동다 모긴 심지어 코넥도 지금 시제 어디스다 저 동기다 그것을도.
No. And then we have the morality of accumulating virtue, and then accumulation of the virtues in relation to how you conduct your behavior of body and speech, and from now until enlightenment, and that's the key. And what are you doing is you are collecting merit in an accumulation of the virtues action only solely to benefit sentient beings, and that is a clear demarcation here, is solely to benefit sentient beings.
제가 뒤에도 간다 개치시 단다 뒤나려야 추림 남봤음데 니제 된베 추림 개와 추디기 추림 심제 된지기 추림 뒤숨기다 간다 개바디 아다 아니 디기 여와데 딱 디스세가 된지도 소나야래도.
So here, the most important focus here is training of morality, and training of morality in relation to these 3 different types of morality of restraining from any non-virtuous action. Second is accumulation of the virtuous actions, and the third is accumulating in benefiting sentient beings. So all these 3 different moralities ties to this training in the morality section.
제가 뒤에도 간다 개치시 알아서 냠내 쳐야 되다 간다로 조 디나려 라바숨 되려도 라바 추림기 라바 띵에징기 라바 셔럽기 라바 다 단다 디나려야 대전 투모 마임베 라바 순서르시다 간다로 문제도 쓰는 게도 디지디 개시시 가르세나다 기부 중앙당 딩기급기 라바숨다 단데 라바숨 되려야 개바 카르도스다 디 개바도 되는 게도.
Here it is very clearly stated about 3 higher training, and this higher training is training on training on morality, training on concentration, and training on penetrative insight. And this here, since it is this great scope individual, these 3 trainings are uncommon, specifically uncommon. And then, of course, these trainings of morality, concentration, and penetrative insight is there in the small scope as well as the middle scope in specific, but it is a common to them. But when it goes to the great scope individual, then it becomes uncommon. So that again, one needs to be very clear about it.
그래서 이 인디가는다 개발 가열었으나 단다 디 기부 중고단 정기 값을 라버슨 거는 수직물 라버들 또다 감들 영화가 예주되면 뒤인바 뒤조 차도다 심바디 스타 샤르크서제 단데들라 심제 된지그 수rim다 개와 주디그 수림 뒤조체 그래서 어디 다 조치 정도 개발된 데레입니다.
Yeah, the difference in terms of these three trainings in relation to different scopes of individual is that these three trainings, when the individual is in the small scope and the small scope individual juncture, the morality is only concentrating on from the three types of morality, only the first one, which is restraining from non-virtuous action. So it is catered to specifically your body and speech. But when it comes to the great scope individual, then from the three moralities, the second morality of the accumulation of the virtue, and the third morality of benefiting sentient beings becomes the primary practice of the great scope individual. Again, there is a distinction.
지리간에 돈바 줄임되라 다 대고 지구디 가서 그래 기부 중고단 정기 값수 다 소다르게 리계획 소르시 바예와체 예와디 단다다 디 값수 줄임되라 조 단단한 시제 니조된베 줄임다 개와주도 심제 된지그 줄임 시제 한 줄임 뒤숨도 조 예와체서 거기 예와 권한을 로하래도
Again, in the small scope individual and the middle scope individual, there are 8 different kinds of precept that one engage in, and it's purely about mostly more about the restraining from the non-virtuous action. But when it comes to the great scope individual, then all these three moralities of restraining from non-virtuous action, accumulating virtuous action, and benefiting sentient beings, and they become primary force in the training of morality. So one needs to understand the distinction also. So then now we will go to question and answer section. It's 10:24.
Thank you, Geshe. I have a question because personally where I am is not even at the small scope. So I'm wondering how to cultivate the qualities of the small scope while also planting seeds of the intermediate and higher scope so that I can take those seeds with me to the next life, but primarily focusing on the small scope.
Just like Quran tiwadi ta suzugeri is tandegi nedan murai nedan ruchana kiuchunguna sugumindus mora ta yine ta kiuchungi la tobie la ta bezun chie is and the kiuchungu la ndotuegi nubata digi singi sayala ani karichures mora gergeche niwadela ani moragiya kiuding da kiuchimbugi sabe jikta sötamnera süzü gula sötamne ani kewa chima dita kiuding da kiuchibe nyamle chitueche ki sedela kiuchungupta bu thagoji yogagi dendegi ani lamdeda tablamnaurona
아니 그냥 제가 나한테 도지치 수수 단단한 신세 갈수오제 수수다 주전의 차식이나 다 수수 내세당 선선비 거발레만 수수 모연세 학고바 다가랑게 있다 오늘 남주 전부당 다가랑게 삼로 쉬우지 삼로 열게다 삼로 야고인 베기 말아 도스체제 솔그도스
Thank you very much for your question. from personal point of view, Geshe says that from the Dharma standpoint of view, you as an individual, you have measured and identified where your level at the moment, and that itself is a very intelligent, and then and able to position yourself that this is the level. So that's intelligent.
제가 가이스나 답변나 수수 미시디 미시스 상부지다 야부치는 그거래 안 디나네가 미시 퓨다 부시 용어 제발라 말한 그 뒤에네 디samgu 간다 미시 퓨다 부시 용어 제발라 텐데 간다를 딘디글 람링 소라치리아 간다른 죽제 미시디 수수 미시디 미시 간데 이메기 다 간다른 남샤디 데이터 라투 전 저베나 미시 텐데 퓨다 부시 책을 삼베 팅도 말아야디 제일 마도 지금 딘디 레삼바지 소아스케 마숑스 디디가 지구시게 알아봤어.
This life is so precious to each one of us, and this life to have happiness and meaningful purpose is a significant thing to focus on. And in order to have this in a very good quality of this present life, to have that good quality, then having this classical text, Lamrim Chimo, Stages to the Path of Enlightenment, in your life. Bring that to your life and walk about your life in relation to how you conduct yourself in relation to this classical text. And that will bring you a lot of happiness and meaningful purpose. Even for myself, Geshe says that it took time, and he came to this realization later on. So this is also his personal standpoint.
제산디 인디가네 다 캐나 세븐에 시제 가지 공동에 셰븐에 시제 간다르 수수 미지스네 면도 수수 당부 예와제제 고셰캡단데 숨라 알아봤어 간다르 미 수수 다 생화마 삼루치 당교제 안 수수 미지디 삼루치 당교제 되네 아니 수수 미지께와 치마될 삼루치 당 알아봤어.
As spoken earlier, it is very important that about your life now, make a division within your life. Reflect about past life and your current present life and your future life. So first make these three divisions.
되네 미지디다 단다 셰븐에 시제 고셰캡네 고셰 가로스 텐제 가셰 미지 체가 스트로사레 가셰 미지다 제 숨제지 수도 간에 가셰 든주 정화스 스트로사레 든레 이네다미 결혼zo 로션버든지나 단다 미지 드로발레 단다 미지 용주망하실 하대요 왔어.
So then, as we closely look into this present life, and then in the present life, you look closely, you can see that half of your life is already spent. And for some of us, 75% portion has already gone. For the young ones, of course, there's more time frame. So it depends on where your standpoint is.
지도가는 다 미지 치마줄이 양한지 다 취지 시티잖아 단데 캐나스바는 시제 지 가르소리 기부 중요한 나라야 취마주다 기부 준비 나라 취마주세야 되리야다 간들 깨와 치마 유버시 딱 간들 수수기 니신예 버시 구고로 왔습니다.
So what is now important is about the future perspective, the future life. We do Dharma for future life. And that is an important factor to take into consideration. You have also come to a measurement of you want to enter into a small scope individual, and then you plant the seed for the intermediate and the greater scope. But the most important on a personal level, it is very important to have the certainty or a conviction that whether there is a future life, and that you need to look closely into.
대체상 개와치마 유여바데 완전 쇼네 시번제제 수술이야다데 카세부소야다 니시게라 다당원지 개와데 그진 님마 당보는 어제 친구나시레 간다르 수술 류다 세미니 야 니엘이야 디니엘이야 문제 지고라 아니 다 수들이야 딱 샘싱해지 간다를 수들다 갈소래 류기 샤시스네 민도 라니기 샤시에 나로리아 류당 샘니 계시슈제 다 디에나네 수수 샤시에들이야 샘싱이 됐다 유버징이야 아 딜리아 토섬 고숨체 딜리 제주체 안 딜리아 니셴예 버치고에 딩야 당부 디게 침부치 그래도 왔어
In this classical scriptures, it's very clearly stated that one needs to gain certainty about the future life. And we have spoke on the first day of teaching how we identify ourselves in relation to our physical body and our mind. So this kind of process of identification, who I am in relation to the physical body as well to the mind, is very, very imperative. And then go delve deeper into the nature of mind and do extensive hearing, extensive contemplation, and extensive meditation. So that is a process you need to do.
계직이 교del이야다 간다는 년례 교다 현지직이 니스 도시적인 예버도 국어라서 지다 더 수진리는 먼저 하고 더 최간지지 그 계직이 교del이야 자외 년례 교다 현지직이 교니니 예버도 국어도 하서 일단 직부지가다 심톨에다 섬던 그랬어.
So when we go into the mind as such, the mind, the causal factor for the mind is subsumed under the category where are the substantial causes and the cooperative conditions that brings about the mind in a stream, and how that process is very much similar to how the physical matter, which is tangible that is manifested, is again these substantial matters are again the causes is substantial causes and the cooperative conditions. So the operation is very similar. So that operation apply to your own mind and do extensive research into that.
남배슈나 셰에는 심기 년례데 다 개왕감에 심기 년례를 때는 단대 심디 중화했어.
So in classical texts, in the Buddhist texts, how our mind, this current present life comes about, it is the substantial cause of the previous life. So that in relation to the previous life, substantial cause, and then we have this current mind.
다 단대 심디기 개월쯤에 심기 년례 지금 왔어.
And one important factor here is that this present life will become the future life mind substantial cause.
디인디가는 다 된대기 개왕하면에 디리용 디네 치마르주에 남샤디 다 기부딩기 남샤가 거도데 가산시에나 시레 된대 양나 중이기 권에 조단데 시에데 근데 된대 양나 중이기 남샤들이야다 간들 수수기 니시니 투바치다 디톨이야 수수기 다 삼로 땅투바치 중스나 아니 개와치마들 삼로시 땅투레라 아니 기부딩기 남샤나레 추야기 따르와시도 왔어.
So this really brings about how past life is connected to present life and how present life will be connected to your future life. So this connection process is very clearly stated in the middle scope individual, which really talks about 12 links of dependent origination. So I encourage you to study that and gain certainty and conviction and do critical reflection on the 12 links of dependent origination, because this really talks about how we come from the past to present, how this present connects to the future. And if you do that, there is a hope that you will be a middle scope individual.
라치사디 이거는 된대 양라 중이기 나로네 개왕아마 아니 되네 파르도 죽당 되네 개와 치마 죽당 안 개와 치마레 당부 수수기 류티기 죽당 아니 dos shije namcha di she dukane ani dos kewa ngama dang ani tseti dang kewa chima tensuli ya dos sega che dang nishin temba nye ge da kandar rewa dang tende tatili yishi tuwas.
No. So if you do that and study in the middle scope of individual, then it will really you will see the past life, how it connects to the present life, and how it goes about the future life, and also in the how the present will go into when the death comes, then it goes to parto, which is intermediate stage, and then goes to the future life. So that's process you will gain understanding and conviction. And if you gain that conviction about the future life, how you will attain different body, physical body, then there is a hope that that understanding will be much more solidified within yourself. So it's a great hope, as well as your trust and conviction into the future life becomes stronger.
저선 디스 데네 예시 디스냐나 아니 개와치만에 개와치마치마 치메치만에 아니 개와치마디 치메치만에 바 가츠스파도 두게 바 가츠스파도 네 두그래서야 아니 신의 딜리아 제바실레 도와서.
And then as you critically analyze that, then you gain certainty about there is a future life, then how many future go on? How many future more lifetimes you want to sustain, and how long will it go? All these inquiries will arise within your mind.
다네신 딱 개왕아마 돌을 삼로다 인도가네 예메기 돌이야 수수 세가시 되는 거네 딱 예마 수수 간에 용샤스 간데스 용샤스 기제데 셰 인도가네 아니 개왕 예메 규들이야 제지 주에 인도가네 아니 단데 남경 아주 셰브나 셰를 주로 가시 군조 수레 가시 아니 지된디 코란 두스키브레스야 서 남샤된 두슬레인 거 봤어.
Also, it also brings about understanding about our past life, past life, how we come from the past life to the current life. And so that kind of formation of ourselves, how we come about, that kind of understanding will become much more clearer. And then also the universally people reflect on these understanding that, oh, we are created by God, or everything came into existence by itself, So these kind of understanding will dawn.
저선디 인도가네 데네 아니 세디당 세치만이 되기 원진데 세부지 차이 되가네 다 세디 된다 조지긴 세치메 된다 조지긴 제제 다 주와당 선배님의 딜레이 물어봤어.
Then once you identify this present life and there is a future life, and now the question is, which is more important to you? You want to focus only on this present life, or you want to focus on the future lives? So those question will arise for you, and you will find reasons.
일렌도가네 다 세디 조게 좀 세베나네 가장 셰브나 셰르 뒤즈기 차네 가져먹어 가져 인생에 마세네 달로 저 구조 갸스 된데 싫어 왔어. 뒤즈기 차네.
No. So if we look closely into only this current present life, the time frame is very limited. Time frame is very limited, and it could be 80 years, 90 years, or max 100 years.
다 개월 치마 삼다인도가네 개월 치마들 장가는 가서 갸토야시면도 왔어.
And if we look into the future lives, then the future lives is something we cannot count.
대치기지. 니버들라 다 디케질레 인도가네 제 딜리지기나 제 딜다 수수 미랑 녜버레 마도지기 심지 둔둘라 교회게 요마로 왔어. 얘네다 포다 뭐 얘네 제 딜이야 포모 줄고도 왔습니다. 저다.
So this life, you are born as a human, so your existence will be human. there cannot be any kind of transformation from human to something else. So human, but in modern life, just as a joke, Isla says, people change from female genitals to male and male to female. So this is just a joke. But as a form, as a human form, you exist as a human form.
다 겨워치마 될라 간지 스토마토 삼르 간다 땅안주 도와리 투세 디게들이 것도 왔어.
But when we think about the future lives, then we talk about 6 different realms or 6 different forms.
디게들이 왔어. 제자들이 간다 겨워치마 조지도 간에 조지제 딜 펜벨레 같이 지도 간에 신의 더 최세야 지금 나로리아 신의 추수 왔어.
So then, if we delve deeper, then you engage into Dharma practice because you want to benefit your future lives. Then now it becomes very tangible. The Dharma activities is having an impact on your future lives.
디지 누가네 다 겨워치마 간델레 만나서 데텐데 양나 중에 남자 가는 도구 누가네 다 단다 라브나시레 겨워치마디 다 치마디 계서 니링해버려 된주다 년주 니링해버려 왔어.
So future lives to be reborn in any of these existence is very clearly stated how the 12 links of dependent origination operates. And then the future lives, it is guaranteed that you will be either in 2 junctures, either a favorable rebirth or unfavorable rebirth.
다데네 된줄이야 깨구구이나 된줄이 깨베기 탑도 가르스나 아니 라바스입니다. 라바 추름기 라바다 라바 띵예징이 라바다 라바 시럽기 라바가는 냠내 치고에 딜레인 거 그래서.
And if you desire to be born into a favorable rebirth, then what is the causes or a method to be reborn in the favorable rebirth? And it is again the 3 trainings, 3 training of morality, training of concentration, and training on wisdom or penetrative insight.
일단 이거는 딱 아주 라바 추름기 라바디 실을 쏘는 조고 이거는 라바 추름기 라바 실을 쏘는 가장 안좋은 라바나 실을 동밖에 발라 인지미지 감동도 두고 왔어.
So we clearly see here that the training of morality is so important in order for us to gain a favorable rebirth, and for us to have this pure morality, one needs to have a precept, and that's what we have gone before.
다 겸주 남셔를 야 주고도 거네 겸주 나려야 추 겸주 뒤지도 거네 겸주 나려지 추 아니 수수 들은기 구급선님의 된저기 디 자침부에 버지 하고 아니 템버식이 남셔려야 주도 거네 아니 신의 기부 준비기 나려야 다 추버지 차서 왔어.
And once then you take this refuge vow and abide by the refuge vow, and then also you optimally utilize this opportunity of precious human life, and then you cultivate and engage into understanding of the in-depth of the 4 noble truths, then you will enter into the great scope individual. Now
다 단데 된줄게 탑디제 다 년줄게 교대려야 아니 미기 주디샤고 왔어.
And that's focus on the favorable rebirth, and the unfavorable rebirth is the to be born in unfavorable rebirth. The causal factors are 10 non-virtuous action. So this is
다 디치그래. 다 되네 아니 기부 중요하게 다 남근 남샤려야 추버지도 거네 가장 안서 시험는 시제. 다 님은님에게 세네면도 그다 뒤지던다 디치도 거네 아니 주외추 죽세다 간다디 간래 그래서 주외추 두고 거네 다 기부 중요 남려야 죽어야지.
So for a individual on the small scope individual practices on a daily basis, in terms of time frame you dedicate, and do the 6 preparatory practices in the a small scope individual level.
되지. 아니 고다 남는 주단들라 아니 가상 계신도 주변나시래 계시시 더섬 공송 거는 제비나 안고 왜냐면 비다고 싶은 거 봐.
And then, as indicated in the earlier class, that one needs to do extensive hearing, extensive contemplation, and extensive meditation. Next question.
Thank you, Geshe. I wrote down a question, so I'm just going to read it. It's very inspiring to hear about the miraculous powers. However, they are very advanced concerning my level. So this is related to the previous question. Yet I find myself all the time in my family or professionally having to make decisions and offer advice. My question is, until I reach the level of the miraculous powers, do you have any words of advice on how we can best make decisions and offer advice? Is it simply relying on our current level of wisdom and utilizing skillful means?
아니 땡기 ngūshī chūkshī rā, tēnzū sēn dī shū dī tāpē yī lā chik kānāndā tēndē yōng sūs. Ani yīne Kurāng kī nēdāng kī chāshā na, Kurāng nāngmī kī nāng kī nēdāng yīne rē, Kurāng lēgā lā pēkī lēgā lō ngūsū chūdū yīne rē, tā chik Kurāng 타주 망부치 난구여로와스 이니테 타주 든주 난두 아니 단대 찰라다 직 ngōshī chūgdā 딘주 미요마르와스 아니 이네타 수수 타주 망부치 치고 키고여로와스 안딘데 디 타주 딘주 직 야고 용해라 아니 게라기 람드시나로치스 아니다 코나 타주 딘주다 만체다 직 탑기 차디 그 제심니 아니 다주 지구로에 양 답람 가려요레스.
근데 건드시만 저도 쉬면은 제제 지다음에 가서 오래다. 심지게 돼 이내를 생이 이내를 간다 고 털두르지 간다 삐 딱슈디 저거 삼바 잼베이나 단단한 시를 망치 띵인식이 돌을 때는 용콩이 서로 시기도 와서
Geshe says that in order to benefit sentient beings to a most efficient, the key here is the efficiency. The efficiency of the benefiting sentient beings, then one needs to have certain level of concentration.
근데 네 가고 있는데 다 이내 망치려야 코란다 찬다반 다바르시 용되기도 왔어. 인도가네 다 원생알에 당긴 원시 둘에 당기는 시제 고 원시 두 코란 띵인지기 둘을 때는 주마도비네 단단한 신의 주변의 시제 정말 제게 둘을 때네 고 걸랑 간자지 코차다버지 때인데 용투야르시 두었어.
Although the level of the training on concentration and attaining those clairvoyance are something difficult to attain, difficult to attain, but we can do something similar to that level, and as indicated earlier, through the substance. Here, Geshe says, through technology, there's so much benefit if it utilized appropriately. Then efficiency can be done.
다 지단데 남기는 하는 시제 지단은 다 간데 시제비네 조 펜바다 너번에 다 디지기로 왔을 핑크도 누구도스라 랑레 핑크도 누구도 셴레 핑크도 누구도스 이 당고 뒤에도 왔어.
So when you make decisions, then it is very important to see the decision, my decision that I take, is it beneficial to oneself and others? So that is important. And then the second thing is that when I make these decisions, does it harm me or others also? So this kind of process of reflection is important.
다 팽기도나 팽바들라 니가를 팽기도 양 수수지고를 팽기도 아니 셴을 타치도 팽기도 선 고시스무 갖고도 왔어.
And then we look that the decision to benefit, the decision to benefit, is it of three different categories. So the first category is it is benefiting me, but it is not benefiting others. So that is first. And the second is my decision is going to benefit myself as well as others in an equal proportion. And the third one is my decision is going to only benefit others. So these again these three categories.
무슨 말해도 왔어. 다 셴을 팽백 차들라 제자 남기네다래. 다 대고 준비 온도 제베나 셴을 팽백 차들이야. 조 송제 주디잖아. 다디 기부 준비 남자다 한디 다시 찍으러 왔어. 다시 단직.
So, of course, to the great scope individuals' mindset, whatever decision that individual take is only solely to benefit others. And that is, again, a unique way of making decision.
다 딜레야 예와도 베나 랑라 펜베 차시기나 랑라 팽기도 데 랑라 펜바 디기 셴레야 누구면도스 양고 딜레야 고 가서래 야 제바지글레 딕도 와서.
So within the great scope individual, if we reflect deeper, the decision you make, of course, is benefiting oneself, but does that harm others?
다 셴레 팽기네 다다나 시레 셴레 팽거데 셴레 펜바디기 소소리야 누구면도스.
Another level of decision is that my decision is going to help others, but it's going to harm me.
지다다 딜레 인디가네 다 셴레 팽기도데 소소리야 네바지다 디치기도나 아니 디 삼로다야 초려야 가려르스디가네 다 스웨냠네 소바야 딘즈 간래야 소직 저와차디 요르와스.
So when it comes to the process of reflection where your decision and action is benefiting others, but it is also harming, it's harming oneself, then here comes the perfection of patience.
그라 딜레용라 다 데네 네바날레 다가레 다 네구도나 네급 네구도 풀 네구도스 팽기도네 펜바디 네급 팽기도 풀 팽기도스 양 도시야와 지기로와.
Again, we do further on, we analyze that my decision is benefiting others, but it is harming me. But is it harming you? Again, categorized further down, is it harming temporarily, or is it helping? Is it harming lasting? Same time, whether you are benefiting others, right? So it's the beneficial that you are bringing to others. Is it temporal kind of beneficial action you are doing for others, or it's much longer lasting to the other? Like those categorization we further dissect.
다네시다 펜데네세디 아니 최도 튠베 팽기도 야 최단기기도스 다도스 도단도스레도.
And then when we take the action of benefiting others, is it really tying to the dharmic way, or is it not tying to the dharmic way?
다 되게 참에기 제가 레알하고자 뷰다고 해야 된다라 녜라 제가 다 러리나를 여번에 시제 기부 중의기 섬주다 기부 주주 중의근 뒤다 미유티체 안데네 기부 딩기 다 삼바다 기부 딩기 고된다 다 디레 다조 고바다 아니 미유당 아니 소소리아 디실레 손에 다 기부 중국의 고된다 미유 가르샤 기부 딩기 고된다 미유 가르샤 기부 침비기 아니 고된다 미유 가르샤선 두스파 고시 겹체 조규르와
So, in order to bring clarity to your mind in making decision, this kind of process of analyzation process is imperative. And then, of course, you have to rely on the classical text, Lamrim Chimo, Stages to the Path of Enlightenment, where what are these three individuals, the small scope individual, what is the purpose they are trying to attain? What is the goal of the small scope individual? Similar way, the middle scope individual, what is the purpose of their engagement of practice, and what are the set of the goals that they are trying to attain? And then also understand the great scope individual, what are the purposes and what are the set goals to achieve. When you do that, your mind have clarity will come.
디 인디가네다 오늘 남ringi 데크 소르 텐델이야 수제 님을 차전이야다 델이야 직 가서 두지 통도시 된지 니리 델이야 로준 지시에 대치기나 아능문에 딱 그새 권도 계시 주원나 시래 가리네면 알았음 주시비나 뮤직기보다 된데 템버시 유행이다 탑란직 디레샤스 같은 것도
And Geshe says that Lamrim Stages to Path of Enlightenment is a great text that one can refer as a reference point and do that daily. You know, however many you want to dedicate, few hours or whatever time frame, but make a dedication. If you do that and then rely on the Lamrim and study extensively, then definitely, from a personal point of view, Geshe says that it's definite that it will bring you happiness and meaningful purpose in your life. And then also refer to the classical text. The second text is the Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life, which is also called as the Bodhicharya Avatara.
지답니다. 로주다 야갈 탐에 인선상 고 간디질이야 간다를 로주 제비네 콜 타다 아니 디 망레스 제제 망다에게 요 말데 이네 디니니 로주 시기나 디니니리야 마두베 매버제다 디니니 그 만직바 메인 소르시간 딘데 통딩도스
From the personal standpoint of view, Geshe feels that, of course, one can study any classical text or any reference because in terms of gaining knowledge, there is no limitation. One can gain tremendous knowledge in other respects. But if you really want to boil down and get the essence of the teachings and try to gain deeper understanding, then these two particular texts, particularly from the Geshe-la's standpoint, are very, very essential teachings. And that also takes on all the other essential teachings are essentially put in these two classical texts. So if you refer to these two texts, you are basically learning the whole of the others also in that.
가인 세나다 기부들은 단지 나신 라브레 안서 고제교도 고셨으면 잡으러봤어 기부 중앙장 딩다 침부스 딱 디기 삼주다 딜이야 팬도다 디고드리야 딱 안들 고제교도 간에 미유소야디 디르봤다.
And why these texts is so essential? Because it really clearly demarcates the set goals of three different individuals. And accordingly, you engage into different methods. And so that's why it is a very essential text.
되는 주버를 제발라 되들 탑 만어지고 알았어. 탑 너는 지고 말아. 제가 탑 뭐는 주기간에 다 그라미 디시고를 디시두간에 디 주버를 제베게 탑 만어와디 다 람리당 준준이 차시대요. 알았어.
And why it is an essential text is when you want to strive into a spiritual path, you should not have any kind of incorrect method. You need to have a correct method. And these particular texts really clearly talks about correct method. It is clear correct method.
다 만화와 잠기 핑크요 말을 차상하시고 열어봤어. 지도가는 또 디나고 차상지 열어봤어.
Of course, correct method is important, but also another factor to take into consideration is a complete correct method, not incomplete correct method. So this particular text has a complete correct method.
최선 디니가는 다 규디 규비다고 지체 아니 규 차상하지 주나 아니 저부디 저부 야가지 인규다 땡케 버렸어.
If you strive into a correct courses and the correct completion of these courses, it is for sure that the result will be, the highest result, and it will be highest result, complete result.
다 되네 아니 다 저부디 교고 용마요 세야다 내수디간 다 들었어.
And the next level is whether you want to achieve that result in what time frame. Swiftly, swiftly or swifter, No.
대지도가는 다 교마요 생겼다 주르간 레이어다야.
Whether one attains swiftly or not, again, it comes down to the miraculous power that you are seeing.
아니 주르들 숨레스다 단내지. 제가 주르 띵엔지기 주르 아니 레그 주르서.
And miraculous power in relation to substance, miraculous power in relation to concentration, and miraculous power in relation to the karma.
다 좋아요.
Any question? Yes. No. One more.
I could see the development of concentration as being very beneficial for merit and helping others, but it also would have a potential to do great harm. And so I would think a person would need to have their motivation really clear before developing those levels of concentration, especially if they have a bad temper, like an Irish temper. So at what point does one feel they should take that on deliberately so that they don't inadvertently do more harm than good?
Could you, I got the first lines, but what is your main question?
The main question is, if a person still has a lot of affliction, should they develop their concentration?
Good. 아니 지단 띵이지 주베디 아니 소남기 소 라부스에다 안소 심지라 펜도 야친부 용의 시레샤스 이네 더 직가 냥가 용 마시와 레민도 가진나나 고 띵이지기 누버든조 숙치를 치르도 양 가시 너베기에게 냥가 용 축으로 왔어 벤치샤시나 디 너베기 냥가 용 초서를 가르치는라나 고 귤ung디다 직니니 귤ung세타베디 양피 타고 매교인데 용 축으로 왔어 더 지와 뭐마 디티르샤 아니 기시 더 직딩이 진디 계신부 임발라야 미칸사 코라 디 니모 망부 숙침부 니모 뉴규와디 숙침부 유베 내갑소 아니 딩이지디 마줍나 야 요리 삼고도스 카신나나 니모 뉴교의 숙침부치 딩이지지 줍나 아니 안노베게 냥가 책이 요라스 최선 지워다 디 니모 뉴교와 딩이지디 가두 공고를 했다 제 the one did reshata. You move.
Santi 이거는 디다레 인데 인스다. 물론 야와면은 딩겐스기 펜발레 너버체 디다 인 거라 봤어. 디 이거는 더 이행 아주 쉐번 나셔제. 고 람게 림바지는 조거에 들어봤어. 이 림바지는 조거고 유디잖아요. 베나 슝근날레 다가는 지시에서 베나 버제 주근날로네 당부디 짐바 안데네 수좀 하는 수바 전주 아니 신의 삼대 신의 셔럽스 리인고도 와서 베나 버제 주근날레 구름치네 등엔제데 와마르도 와서 다 람기름 베남샤 제베네 녀를 제자 기부 중의 그 값소 겸주당 아니 딱나 굴lun주단디 계시지 차도도 와서 이 시대 야고 총수나 아니 신의 기부 준비 값소나 아니 가서 겸주제 디간데 심기다 아니 세메시들레 인고도 와서 근데 심기단 세메시데 야고 총사베 제라 아니 신의 등에서 주야게 좀 받을래 인고도 왔어 제산 텐데지 좀 등에서 레버지 중부에나 등에서 이 팬매마도 저게 아니 내가 영향 거라요 말았어.
Of course, if individual have a very strong manifest of afflicted emotions, definitely the power of the concentration can inflict more pain. That's true. But as we again, let's go back to the Lamrim in the scripture, the text here. All we spoke about the sixth perfection for the great scope individual. Anvay is that perfection of meditative concentration. It's on later on. It's not on the first. We begin first with the perfection of generosity, perfection of morality, perfection of patience, perfection of joyous perseverance, and then the perfection of meditative concentration. So this is a very clear indication that an individual who is striving on the path of the great scope, one needs to have pure morality. Yeah. And then if you look into the small scope individual as such, the refuge to three jewels and the precepts has to be a fundamental basis of the small scope individual's morality, and the motivation. Motivation is so important. And then the great scope individuals, once you are in the great scope individual, of course, generating the mind of bodhicitta mind and those four immeasurables are so imperative. And then comes the training on the meditative concentration. So if you go in the path in the correct way, that is the key. Following the correct path is the key thing. And the second is, once you gain the training in the meditative concentration, there is no way that you will harm anyone. Only the action will only benefit others. And so that's why it is very important that repeatedly in the text that both the skillful method has to be conjoined with wisdom, and they have to come together all the time.
Due to this merit, may we soon attain the awakened state of Guru Buddha, that we may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their sufferings. May the precious Bodhi mind not yet born arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore.